Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, citizens of New Eden. How are you doing today?
Well, I am doing well. I am super excited to kick off our CSM interviews. We've got five wonderful candidates lined up for today, and there are more coming on Thursday and Friday and throughout the week. I'm just very stoked for this. If you guys hadn't seen the announcement last week, CCP Dopamine and myself did a live stream where we revealed the CSM16 candidates and explained a little bit about each candidate just very, very briefly. But today is when we get to go into a little bit more depth into these candidates, sort of what they would like to accomplish, what they believe in, and everything you need to know about them.
That's right. It's actually shaping up to be a pretty packed week with over 20 interviews so far, if I recall correctly, being lined up. And we still have time for other candidates to make up their mind if they would like to talk to you via the CCPTV platform or not. Obviously, this is not the only place on the internet that you can actually learn more about each of those wonderful human beings. There is plenty of information and interactions there in their campaign threads on forums, but also Eve Media is buzzing with all sorts of interviews with a variety of the candidates. So if you're into it, if you want to learn more about each of those guys, you definitely want to make a tour and just check out everything that's happening on Twitch itself. As CCP Swift said, for today, we have five wonderful candidates eagerly waiting to talk to you. And we are as excited to actually give them a brief interview and opportunity to present why you, the citizens of New Eden, should be voting exactly for them and putting them on top of your ballots. First up for today, in less than 10 minutes, we got TDor Clau. I can see on Discord that TDor is pretty much ready. So just in a little moment, we will be transitioning to the interview itself. Just to let you guys know about the format, the way this is gonna go down. Each of the candidate has 10 minutes where they can present their elevator pitch, and also we have a set of fairly generic questions that we will be asking each of those candidates to try and get out a little bit more out of them. Uh, they are also allowed to bring any additional video materials or media or assets that we will be excited to show to you. So yeah, I think it's gonna be quite a lot of fun. But before we jump into it, Peter, can you maybe remind me very quickly when the actual voting for the CSM is going to happen? How much time do our players have to make up their minds about who they would like to vote on?
Yeah, so the entire CSM16 process started all the way back at the end of April, where candidates submitted their applications, decided if they wanted to run. We did the live announcements last week on the 20th. We're now in the campaign period, which runs until the end of June, or no, sorry, beginning of June, the 4th specifically. And then from the 8th until the 15th of June, from downtime to downtime, which is 11 o'clock Eve time to 11 o'clock Eve time, uh, players will be able to vote for their candidates um, on the EVE Online forums through the CSM voting little panel that we have set up.
That's right. It's gonna be a full week. We also gonna have some stuff prepared for you in game just to boost the message and raise the awareness about the CSM voting happening. But more on that a little bit later. As for now, let's check with our first candidate to see if he's ready and bring him to you for a little conversation. Don't go anywhere. We're gonna be right back. Hello, welcome back, everybody. Please join me in saying hello to our first candidate, TDor Clau. TDor, how are you doing today?
Oh, fine. Thank you very much, CCP Dopamine.
The pleasure is all ours. We're delighted to have you here. Um, just gonna check with our Twitch viewers right now if the audio is coming well. Are you guys hearing our TDor okay? Give me thumbs up or thumbs down. Sounds great. Awesome. Audio good. Thank you very much, guys. All right, Tidor, the floor will be yours. I'm setting our timer for 10 minutes so we can have a controlled conversation. But take it away. Please do tell us why the players of EVE Online should be voting for you in the upcoming CSM16 elections. Who are you? What is your background? Really want to know everything.
Yeah. So I've started playing Eve in the end of 2018 because the former MMO RPG I was playing actually died. So I needed something new. And I picked Eve because I had a friend in the old RPG. He was playing Eve, so I chose Eve to give it a shot. I played for a while. I did the high sec stuff, like all beginners. I maxed out at level 4 missions, and then I got bored actually, and decided to go to a higher game, I guess. So I went to nullsec, and I started from the bottom with the VNI back in the day, and worked my way up to where I am today at like super cap. In the meantime, exploration, I dabbled in mining, I dabbled in solo PvP, small scale, the classic alliance, multi-thousand people fights, and here I am today.
Yeah, so it seems like you've kind of, you're a very versatile character that really did a lot of things there are to do in EVE Online over the course of your career in the last several years.
Yes, I've done much. Um, I haven't done some parts which are critical to the CSM, which are like wormholes and let's say balancing or how can I put it? Subtle, like
Sort of like tweaks, like something that Team Talos would put out, just like changing the stats on a ship and something like that.
exactly. Yeah, I haven't dabbled in that because I wasn't like into it that much. But I really like what I'm doing now, the nullsec. I think it's great. It's it can be better. It was better. It's going to be better. It's for me. And I decided to run simply because I've looked in the previous CSMs and they're all alliance leaders. They're all military directors. They're high level diplomats. The- And I'm just the average player playing the nullsec life every single day. So I think the average people should be on the CSM because they have to deal with EVE Online every day and have maybe more input and insight into what's happening in their space.
Yeah, that is very well said. There are far more people like you than there are people that are running alliances and stuff like that.
Exactly. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I can relate more to the majority of the people, and I can see on myself how things are going. If I'm playing the game and I see something, well, this is not enjoyable, this is not worth my time, it's not in my best interest. I can see it far sooner than somebody who's busy planning the greatest war in Eve, or somebody who manages the logistics of the third largest alliance in the game, because they simply do not have the time to, let's go check the Forsaken Haven with a ratting ship. Is it balanced? Is it working? They don't do that, and I think we need more of that.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a very unique and important perspective to bring into the CSM, and it very much sounds like something that really differentiates you from some of the other candidates out there. I was wondering, should you, get elected and really go onto the CSM, have you put any thought into how do you plan to interact with the community and the voters that really, gave their vote to get you onto the CSM?
I've seen people do it in two ways. One way is spread their ideas on Twitch, on various discords, like talking in stations, famous streamers doing interviews, spread out the word to the population. And there is the better way of people going to their CSM and say, hey, I want this. Take it to CCP. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't care, just take it. And I think this is far better than I can go to people. I can go to every single staging systems of every single alliance in Eve, but nobody's gonna talk to me. Or maybe a few. But if somebody has an idea and hey, I have this idea, I can take it to some CSM. I should do it right now and send him an email, send him a Discord, something, an email, whatever. And this is like the CSM I would like to be, not going around various media circles. I would ask all players in Eve, if you have an idea, you wake up in the middle of the night, you have an idea, send it to me, and I'll pass it along, because that's actually my job as CSM.
So your outreach to the community is through just being completely available through like either Discord messages, email, something like that. I will warn you, some people have some pretty wild shower thoughts, um,
Yeah.
but it is reassuring to hear that that is the way that you would like to do it.
Yeah, it totally is. It's more personal and involved. So I understood CCP Swift has questions for me, since we have 2 minutes.
Yeah, we've got a few. You did actually cover quite a few of them, which is nice, right? We set up a list of questions to sort of guide people along for the important topics. You hit a lot of the major notes. But I would ask, what do you think distinguishes you really from the rest of the candidates? I know you mentioned that you're like an everyday Eve Online player, but is there anything else that you'd like to add to that?
I'm fresh. I haven't been a CSM for 5 years in a row, 20 since before EVE Online existed, actually. So I'm new. I have enthusiasm, I guess you can say it, and the willingness to participate more than maybe somebody who's done this for years. It's kind of just doing it out of like work, not as a passion or a hobby, something you enjoy. So I guess, yeah.
And really quickly, one last question. The CSM has been around, as you mentioned, for a very long time. It is going on its 16th term. Do you have like a favorite candidate that you've ever seen on the CSM before, or someone that you really respected the way they did things?
Mm, not really, but I have one candidate which I cannot undispute his knowledge, and that is Sutonia. And I think he should be on the CSM.
Well, he was on the CSM before, so that's you answered my question. Sutonia, as someone that you like have respect for in terms of the CSM and how they handle themselves.
I respect his vast knowledge of Eve and fittings and balancing and everything. He's good. Like nobody can deny him. He has some bad ideas, but that the main part is there.
Yeah, I think everybody out there always has some bad ideas. It's very unusual to have, somebody who always just puts the golden eggs out there. But that sounds amazing. We're actually out of time, but lastly, TDor, is there anything else you would like to share with the EVE Online community before we let you go?
Uh, no, CCP dopamine. Let the community share with us.
All right. I like the sound of that. Okay, Theodore, it was fantastic having you over. Thanks very much for taking the time to talk to us, and most importantly, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with the
Thank
players
you for
there.
hosting us.
That's a pleasure. All right, we're gonna go into a little transition, guys, and shortly after we will be back with our next candidate. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Thank you very much for waiting, and please join me in giving a hand for Evie Kouvo. Am I pronouncing that right? Like for me, this is the biggest challenge for all of the CSM campaign is to pronouncing properly people's characters. So please educate me.
I just say Evie.
Evie, perfect. Evie, welcome. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good. This has been so much fun. All the interviews, interacting with the community, it's been a blast.
So I've understand you did some of those before?
Yep. Last night I was actually on Astrothi's stream. We had about an hour interview. It went a little bit long, but it was awesome. Definitely thought-provoking stuff. I had a blast.
All right, cool. Well, let's do our best and try to condense it into the very short 10 minutes that we're gonna have. Evie, you know the drill. You have the floor. Please make your elevator pitch. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and obviously let the community know why they should be voting for you. I am starting our timer right now.
All right. So I started this game like everyone else, a new bro. I had the luxury of my friend bringing me to the game, and he said, "We're gonna clear up the Magic 14 for you." Gave me a bunch of skill injectors, and that was that. Within the first week, he said, "Go ahead and make your own decision. Let's see what you're gonna do." And I went into wormholes and just fell in love. We from there we just grew. I went in with New Bro Corporations in wormhole space, learned the game in wormholes, loved every moment of it. I was on the wrong end of an eviction, suffered defeat, had some wins. It was a blast. Every moment of it was wonderful. So for me, I'm a wormhole candidate. It's what I do. It's what I loved. I came in the game in 2016 and did nothing but it. Now I'm living a nomad life with Wingspan, and one of the things with Wingspan is customer service 5 is a prerequisite upon joining. And it's true. You need to interact with everyone who you face in combat. It's part of the space. It's part of the wormhole community. You will be remembered with how you interact post combat, whether you won, whether you lost. It's probably the best way that you can recruit and make interactions in this space. So, who I am, wormhole candidate. What I do, constant PvP, and I love it. I love every second of how risky wormholes is and the freedom that it gives you. That's kind of me.
All right.
That's what I
Okay.
do.
That sounds great. I'm always happy every time we do actually get to welcome Warhol candidates. I think we could not get enough of them on the CSM, so definitely appreciate you running this year to actually try and help us out. You told us a little bit about yourself. We know what's your expertise and obviously you know what you're the most passionate about. Um, what I would be interested to hear from you, Evie, maybe, is what do you think like the best role of the CSM is? How would you describe the role of like an ideal CSM candidate?
So to me, the best thing a CSM member can do is provide insight to the developers about the potential unintended consequences of a proposed change before it goes live, to present issues that players are currently experiencing, and then try to brainstorm and formulate interesting and creative solutions to those problems. If we can create a solution that provides a point of tension, something that allows people to make a judgment call on risk and they can decide for themselves if they want to go down that avenue, and something that isn't going to down the road create an issue. That to me is what a CSM member should be absolutely about, is formulating creative solutions in trying to mitigate unintended consequences.
Awesome. That sounds really good.
Yeah, that sounds very one of the many reasons, or one of the many things that we actually do rely on CSM 15 for, and CSMs in the past. So it's nice to hear that. You mentioned that you're a wormhole candidate. You went to wormhole straight out of the gate, pretty much like a maniac. So props to that. But what do you feel distinguishes you from the rest of the CSM candidates running?
So, from the wormholers, currently I'm a nomad. I live a nomad life. I base in K-space and just wander. And I've been doing that in this stint for Wingspan for about 8 months. I was in Wingspan previously, which was just about under a year. And I fell in love with this playstyle because you get to interact with everybody. So that kind of unique experience for me is really nice. I get to see what happens in lower class. I get to see the day trippers coming in. I get to every now and then interact with upper class. It's a little bit difficult for my kind of play style, but I do enjoy interacting with them. And Wingspan as a whole is growing as a group, and we are able to take these more impressive fights. And it's been a lot of fun for us.
Awesome.
That level of experience is good to provide context to some of the metrics and numbers that we see.
Yeah, there isn't a day where I don't do PvP. I'm constantly diving wormholes. When I lived in wormholes, I would dive like a madman. I'd go before the connection rate increased. You could see me on our trip bar on our mapper go about 15 to 20 layers deep in wormholes, constantly looking for somebody. And then eventually I went to Wingspan. I do the same thing, but now it's everybody's doing this. We all start in a case space and we just keep going. We just try to find somebody. And then when we do find someone, it's like ants in an anthill. We all scurry through because we have connections to everywhere. We're constantly up with new case space connections. It turns out we were only a handful of jumps away at the beginning of this. It's been a blast.
Awesome. So I got actually a question from chat, which very closely also matches the one that we have prepared ourselves. While the CSM doesn't necessarily dictate what CCP is going to be working on, we always try to collaborate, and great ideas and suggestions can be coming from everywhere. I'm wondering, Evie, if you would get elected for the CSM, what would you like to put forward for consideration to the CCP to make the life of the wormhole community better?
So one of the things that I've proposed in passing and really thought greatly about is minerals in wormhole space and the resources that we have available. When the industry changes happened, it happened when I lived in wormhole space and I saw things slowly decline in the amount of content we had. Now that could be my own perception and anecdotal, but for me, it truly felt as if things were really slowing down after industry changes. And my stance on it was wormhole is a decentralized space by nature. What we could have done, perhaps, is spread things out. You could have decoupled ore types from anomalies and just spread it out, kind of like gas sites are currently, where if you go to a bountiful frontier reservoir, it's only got 2 types of gas. I would much rather see us, instead of strip things away so it doesn't get locked in somebody's hole when they decide to VOC and roll off all their connections, I would much rather see that just spread out. And that provides a trip for a case baser to go, I want to risk this. That lets wormholers go, do I want to deal with competition in K-space, which is objectively safer? We know who's in local. Or would I like to not participate with the K-space and make the risky trips in wormhole space where you could lose everything, right? The hunter could already be there waiting for you. So one of the things I would really, really like to see and really push for wormholes is to spread things out and really utilize the dynamic and decentralized nature of wormhole space and make it beneficial for everyone.
Well put. Awesome.
Yeah, very well said. I know we just have a little bit of time left. So I just wanted to hit you with one more question before we wrap up. That's similar to what we asked TDor. If elected, how would you plan to interact with the community?
So my plans to interact would obviously be expanded because of the platform. I would really try to reach out to people doing interviews and express my own opinions and try to get feedback from chat and things. But one of the things I'll still do and will continue to do is still do PvP every single day. And that will provide me with tons of feedback with people, right? If I go into there and I happen to find somebody who's running an anomaly, and I do happen to get a successful jump on them, or even not a successful jump, I would love to hear their feedback on things, right? It's not only on the PvP side of things, like what could they have done better, and all this, but do you feel satisfied with how your ISK makings opportunities are currently, right? I know C2s, everyone says that C2s could always use a bump because of the gap from C1 to C3 is so huge. And yeah, I mean, I got to take that into consideration with them. But that kind of interaction, the real player to player interaction, I don't think can be understated. That is huge. And it all comes back to Wingspan's customer service 5.
All right, okay, we got 45 seconds left. I think you've covered pretty much all of the angles that we really wanted to hit within those, short 10 minutes. But Evie, is there anything else you would like to share with all the viewers watching you right now and the EVE online community that is definitely gonna be checking out this video later on Twitch?
Yeah, I guess I could make a quick point. One of the things that I really stand for is not locking wormhole space away and making it just a better space for wormholers. I do truly believe that we do need interactions with K-space to benefit both wormholers in there because you are content, you are interacting with our ecosystem, but it also gives you a lucrative opportunity to beat out competition. And I don't want to section wormhole space off. I do want to bring both the communities together in the best way that I can.
This is just wonderful. I mean, I think there's nothing to add from our side. Evie, thanks a lot, mate, for sitting down with us today. Good luck with any more interviews. Are you actually going to be joining any other EVE Media, doing some rounds later on?
I would love to. Currently, I don't have anything set up, but I am always fine to clear my schedule to make time. I love doing this. This has been so much fun.
Sweet. All right, guys, you've heard it. If you want to have Evie come up to your show, just hit him up in game or on Discord. Do you have a Twitter as well?
I don't have a Twitter now,
All right.
but in-game's a great way to get in touch with me. My Discord name is the same as my in-game name.
There you have it. Evie, thanks a lot, mate. We're gonna take a little short break and then we will be back with our next candidate for tonight, who is Jurius Doctor. Thanks a lot, guys. Transitioning out. And we're back. Thanks a lot for waiting. You guys have been patient today, even with those few minutes breaks, but it's definitely worth it. We have yet another amazing candidate, eagerly anticipating to talk to you. Jurius Doctor. Jurius, how have you been, my friend?
I've been very good. Living through COVID for the last 2 years now, I've been working from home. So it's been kind of a bit of an adjustment for me, but less hard for me than I think for other people. So I'm glad that the Eve community still seems as energized and engaged as usual about these times of year. Our CSM engagements, and I love the feedback I've been getting from players as they've been watching me on DTM and Ashtarothi and other streams, and I've been getting some really good feedback from people. So it's always a wonderful time of year because I find the players are more engaged. They ask more questions. They want to know what everybody's thoughts are about where we're going and how the CSM interacts with you as CCP, and I love this time of year. It's like Christmas for me.
Well, hopefully we're gonna be able to shower you with gifts. The first is going to be the 10 minutes that we're giving you up right away. Obviously, you know the drill. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself, especially for those people who might not necessarily know you that well. It would be extremely interesting to hear, what do you stand for? What are your expertise within EVE Online, and all this fancy jazz. So, without further ado, Jurius, if you would do me the honors and just take it away. I'm starting the
Sure.
timer right now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jurius Doctor, and today I will not be teaching you about any of the stuff I normally cover in my YouTube channel or Twitch. Like a lot of other content creators out there who work in the extra game space, outside of the game, I focus on bringing content to people that helps them learn about this wonderful game. And I've been doing this for the last 6 years with my YouTube channel. Previous to that, I taught with Eve University for 3 years, and I have been highly engaged in the game community basically since I started. I love this game. It took me a little while to get into it. I was recommended to the game by my friend Graham, who I was in university with, and he said, this seems right up your alley. I think you would love this game. And then I got my head into it, and I was like, wow, this is a lot. And I ended up kind of burning out on it. And when I came back, I said, where can I go to learn everything I want to know about this game? And he said, well, try Eve University. So I did, and I loved it. And then the CEO, who I think at the time had just become Laura Karpinski, who has actually just retired from that role, she was like, don't burn yourself out. So what was the first thing I did? Challenge accepted. And I just started burning myself out because I wanted to teach. I was on the events committee. I organized the Winter War with RVB. I was all over the place with just getting my fingers into the community. And I loved teaching with Eve University. And if you're somebody who knows this game and loves this game, I recommend you to try being a guest lecturer with them, because there's nothing that tests your ability to know this game more than trying to teach it to somebody else in a way that doesn't go over 45 minutes. It's a pain to try and get that much content into that little time and to do it eloquently. But it's also a great way to vet yourself and to see how you do. And part of that whole learning process was that I loved the content in their slides, but I hated the graphical design. I thought they were ugly. I thought I could do a better job. So I took that to YouTube. And that's where I've been ever since, on YouTube and Twitch, and interfacing with the community through Twitter, through Facebook. I mean, you can hit me basically anywhere. I'm on Discord. I'm on like half of the public servers out there. And I'm a mod on several of them, including Gibberish's EVE Online unofficial Discord. So, you'll find me listed as a helper or staff on a lot of these Discords. I'm available everywhere. There's a better than, average chance that if you search my name, we share at least 2 or 3 Discord servers. So I'm very easy to get a hold of if you want to ask questions. And my expertise is in the pedagogy of teaching players. Pedagogy is the knowledge of how do you teach people and how do you get it into their brains so that it sticks. I'm an expert in game mechanics at the general and high level, because it's part of my job as a teacher to teach you how these things work. And I live in nullsec. I have lived in high and low. I'm an industrialist, and I build capitals. And that is me.
So I got 2 questions. First one, do you ever sleep? And second one, what are the things that you don't do? Because it sounds like you've really been all over the place and you've tried pretty much everything there is so far in EVE Online.
So I'll answer the latter part of that question first. So I don't live in Poshvin, even though I did run a lot of the tree leaving invasions content. I helped with the initial liminalities. I ran at a lot of fleets with Ashtarothi and was like a fleet member in those fleets, but I never moved into Poshvin. And I love that we have Maldavius, who's a candidate who's running for that space and speaking about that space in a very informed way, because he himself works as a game developer, so he's got a unique perspective there. I also don't live in Wormholes because I've never really had a nacelle of core players that have ever wanted to go into Wormhole space with me. But now that there's been an increased demand in industry for resources from Wormholes, I'd like to see about maybe opening a foothold in like a C3. That would be interesting to me. But yeah, I'm involved in a lot of areas of the game, and one of the things you did ask was, do I sleep? And the answer is not much. In fact, it was a real problem in 2018. My wife and I decided to actually change cities. We were living in Vancouver. I worked full time in 2 jobs. I was working in help desk at a university in the days, and then in the evenings, I was running an Australian software company. On top of that, I wrote 26 articles for INN that year, published over 30 videos, and also had a side gig creating professional documentation in Visio. And my doctor said, slow the hell down before the hospital finds you on a bed somewhere and has to like wheel you into the OR, like, because you're going to kill yourself, man. And it did. It almost killed me. I ended up in the hospital twice in the tail end of 2019, in October and November. So I've learned that lesson. I'm 40 now. I don't have an unlimited amount of energy, but I am still pumping out the content as fast as I can get it done.
Still with this limited energy, I can really sense the the enthusiasm and the passion coming from you. So I think there's still plenty left energy in Jurius Doctor reserves there. CCP Swift, do you have any questions for our candidate here?
Yeah, so I will just say that his story does check out. I went really quickly looked, and we share 15 Discord servers. So he is in a bunch of Discord servers. So that definitely covers the how would you effectively communicate as a CSM member question. You're just everywhere. In terms of your accessibility and your willingness to try out different areas of the game, do you think that's what distinguishes you from the rest of the candidates, or is there something else where you think you sort of stand out amongst the crowd?
I think there's a couple of areas where I distinguish myself in particular. I mean, I hate hearing the statement, master of all trades, specialist in none, or anything to that degree, because I'm not a specialist in a lot of areas, and this game is so deep and so complicated that even the developers who are writing the code that make the things happen don't really understand all the facets of how that plays out in the works. Where my strengths lie is in attracting, training, and keeping players in this game. That is the number one thing. And I think that Mike Azarai and I share that in a big way, although he is much more brand new day one player facing than I am. What happens with me is that a lot of players, upon meeting Mike and doing his initial fleets with project Operation Magic School Bus and his projects, will find out about me in the course of going to Eve University or taking classes or looking on YouTube for video content, and then they'll see me, and what usually happens is I get a wall of Eve mails or Discord requests or people joining my Discord community and going, help, I need help with this, or what ships can I fit a Covops cloak to? The basic early questions that a lot of players want to know to really kind of digest what they're being taught in the game or the barriers that they're running into. And those are the areas where I'm hypersensitive to, and I'm very vigilant to what are the stumbling points and what are the challenges that new players are facing. And I have to say that the changes that CCP has been making in the last 3 weeks, in particular, focusing on the Eve Academy and bringing in more kind of wiki-like content, initial learning, some of the content drips that we're starting to see in game, and some of the openness that I've seen from developers about recommendations on how we can help with that initial skill wall climb is really an area where I'm able to focus and communicate these early challenges in a strong way. but also I'm kind of an unofficial diplomat in the sense that I know everybody, and everybody seems pretty comfortable talking to me because I don't have skin in the game. But I'm really good as a reporter in that way. So I've been able to report on everything from the collapse of FCON to changes in industry to talking about how the war has been going on different points. And part of, I think, my, I don't know, call it my effusiveness or my charm, is that I'm really good at talking to the community, and I know a lot of members, and individuals like Brisk and I have an ongoing friendly dialogue for a very long time. And I have been a member of Goons. We Iron Armada, when we were looking for a break for our FC team, joined Goons for about 6 months. And I don't have a GUR Goons, or I don't have a GUR NC attitude. I'm very much kind of an independent in the way that NSH has kind of remained that way. We're big enough now that we can pick bigger fights and we can engage in the bigger capital fights. And I enjoy that kind of content. I'm not somebody who loves tie-dye. I would love for CCP to keep pushing that Hattian kind of approach, that maybe we can go to Azure and get rid of tie-dye completely. Like, I'd love to have 20,000 man fights with no tie-dye. I think that sounds amazing. That would blow my frigging brain. That excites me to no end. But my strengths come in communicating where are there challenges in the game, and how can you make that an actionable request using assets that are already in the game, and make it make sense in a way that if I was giving this to one of my employees as an IT guy, could I expect him to get it done by next Tuesday? And that's a skill. That's something not a lot of people have. And I think there's a few people in the CSM already who are fairly effective in that way, in being able to constrain the amount of time that they need in meetings to get their point across, and being able to dedicate the most amount of time necessary to hearing what CCP is bringing to the CSM, and making sure that they're not single party candidates who are just running on a single banner, and God damn it, they're going to be heard about that one thing, whether you like it or not. I'm not one of those people who's just there to have the one issue heard. I care about the overall health of the game, and I really do want to see the whole of the game succeed, because I'd love us to keep more than 100,000 players a year out of the 1.2 million who come in. I'd love us to keep 500,000 of those 1.2 million. I want to see us get to a point where this game is growing in a way that we make headlines for more than just the big fights.
That's amazing, Jurius. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our times is up. We could probably spend here all afternoon just talking about EVE Online. But dude, thanks a lot for coming up and talking to EVE Online community for us. You said you're pretty much everywhere, so I think nobody's gonna have any difficulty really reaching out to you. I just wanted to check if you have anything lined up in any more of CSM interviews or any appearances on shows in the next few days.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot. Guys, you don't go anywhere. Next up, we are going to be talking to Uriel. Let's see if Uriel is ready. And then we're gonna jump right into it. Be right back.
All right, welcome back today to CSM interviews for CSM16. We've got a brand new candidate ready for you. His name is a bit of a tongue twister, but it's okay. Everyone knows him as Uriel. But if you want to be super formal, Uriel Paradisi Anteovnuecci. I think I got pretty close on that
Very
one.
close, very close.
All right, we take close. We take those.
Works for me.
So welcome to the interviews. You are our penultimate interview for the day. Very excited. How are you finding the CSM process so far?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, I looked into it a few times before. Sorry about my bird. You're gonna hear her keep screaming. I feel good about it. Things are nice. I love seeing bunches of, just different players come from totally different areas to come and talk about why their area of the game needs representation. And even the people who don't get elected, it starts conversations. It makes good stuff happen and throws more stuff out there. So whatever happens, it's fun, and the process is good.
Yeah, I completely agree with your sentiment. The conversations that come out of CSM season tend to linger oftentimes for years. So without further ado, we will get into it. The format is, in case you're not aware, is we'll give you 10 minutes on the clock. You can just introduce yourself, a few things about you, pretty much go over things that you have already put into your campaign thread, and just introduce yourself to the community.
Okay. So do you want me to just start now, or?
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
we'll put 10 minutes on the clock. It's
Let's
not like
go.
super strict. We're not gonna
Yeah, no.
dunk you into a
Speak up
dunk tank or anything when it runs out, but go ahead.
Speak up if you want me to go into anything more, if you have anything you want me to talk about either. But yeah, I'm running based on, if people would, I'm sure no one would be surprised, a platform kind of based around the lore of the game. That's just on the surface level, really, though, because, the lore of the game, this isn't me saying everything needs to be about the story, everything has to be that, anything like that. No. Uh, Eve's story, the value in that for me has always been its ability to kind of keep me connected to the game, even when I haven't been playing for, any amount of time sometimes. I always want to know what's happening next. A big thing about it is when I started playing the game for the first time, I, I saw a picture of a spaceship. I said, that looks kind of cool. Uh, Felt kind of interested in it. Went to the website, saw all of the chronicles there, read most of them in a day or so, and then I knew I'd just be sticking around in the game probably forever. Uh, if it probably comes as no surprise that any of the stuff about the like Jove and the precursor stuff stood out to me the most, and that's between them and the sleepers, the drifters, the Triglavians. That's always been what's kind of my focus in the story. But as for its value, I named my little campaign thread. What did I say? What's in a story? I think is what I said, and pretty much the role of a story, a well-controlled and kind of put together story in an MMO specifically, especially one as social and big as Eve, is when you start playing the game, you don't have your friends yet. You don't have a group you're already in with. You don't have people you're gonna probably, hang out with maybe for a decade, maybe go to Vegas and Iceland with. I've done that a bunch of times. Uh, until you find those people, you need something that's gonna make you stick around in the game. And, there's a lot of things that can do that. You have, missions, stuff like that, PvE, PvP if you wanna try that. But again, until you find your group, you're kind of on your own trying to figure out what you're doing. And Eve's, a big thing that people always seem to complain about with Eve is player retention. Early player retention especially has always been a big issue, especially in past years. At least that's what's been talked about. To combat that, having something that sort of just attaches you to the game, even if there's nothing actively going on, it makes you want to know kind of what's happening. It pulls you in. It makes you want to come back and see what's happened a while later. You always, you want to check in. You want to see what's going on. And something like that has, I think, enormous value in keeping players aware of the game and perhaps wanting to continue playing and come back. That's I think that's the most of it right there. And jumping right off of that as well. Eve's lore is a really interesting thing as well. I say lore, but really just the story and the way it's constructed. Where it's a common thing for it to be said that players write the story of Eve. In a lot of ways, they do. But players alone, just the actions of players, if there's no framework in which you can see this and kind of contextualize it within, like, say the story of the world, it's a little less. It sticks to you a little less, I think. And just to say, oh, a bunch of spaceships shot each other out in this area and these big groups fought. Having thousands of people fighting each other is very cool on its own. But if you take that and enhance it really with again, the context of kind of the world around them. Say, the empires have, so they're capsuleers, they're immortal, flying around in little pods that can control entire spaceships, with your mind. And they're immortal because they get cloned afterward because, there's a scanner that throws them back into a new clone. And the empires, have all this that happen. They don't like capsuleers a lot because, they're kind of on their own and fucking around with the world. And all these empires, hate each other too, and they're all fighting. And you can like learn about them and maybe fight for them. And this is where this ship comes from. And this is where this ship comes from. And this is why this is here. And having context for the world around you and the environment in which everything is happening really just enriches just everything. And if you have just both of these kind of just together, it I think makes a really, really interesting experience. That's a huge part of why Eve has just stuck around to me for the past, say, almost 10 years now. Yeah, that's kind of a mostly in one breath there. All right. Let's see. Anything else you'd like to specifically hear? I mean, I can just keep talking, but if you have any points you'd like to, you know, talk on a bit, just let me know. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
you,
sorry, go on, Swift.
oh, I was gonna say it sounds like you've got some pretty good thoughts, but I'll toss out a question just so I feel useful here. You mentioned that you've played Eve for a long time, and the importance of story and the group that you played with or you play with now, Arataka Research Consortium. They do a lot of interaction with the lore and stuff like that. But that's not all you do. So, what areas do you think would you consider yourself like very proficient in, and what expertise could you bring to the CSM?
all right. In terms of proficiency, I'd say the most bland thing that I can start with is, the PvE side of things. That's not just to say I like to go around and shoot rats, though. Like knowing the numbers of things, understanding how, again, all of the different like attributes that are, applied to any entity that exists in the database for like how things work, what makes a ship do what makes an NPC do what. I've done a lot in terms of that as well. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that drifter ship line that I wrote up a few years ago. Basically, that was a project for me in learning pretty much the way all of the attributes work in the game and figuring out how all that worked. I think I have some value probably there in being able to see what things say and just be able to say, all right, well, maybe this will happen this way because of this. And have you thought about this? Numbers is a good thing. And then, of course, the context of player retention and how players react to being in the game and talking about things. Like I talk to new players all the time. I try to direct them towards things they might, enjoy, might find a good group in, might find something they enjoy personally in. Uh and the part of that also is me saying I'd like to encourage uh the visibility of the story stuff because as it stands, you have to know it exists to look for it in the first place, and you won't discover it on your own with the way things are currently set up. And that's probably something that's the biggest thing I'd probably be championing. That and stuff being in the game. So just understanding where these things could come together and maybe be more present to make them more visible to players, find more ways to make them stick to it, more ways to make them stick around. I think that's where my value would be. Probably new players, story stuff, integration with the game, and numbers mostly. I think those are what I'm good for. In terms of areas of space, though, uh, honestly, I've just been all over the place. A lot of stuff I just do is again story stuff. But if I'm out in space, I'll go do exploration anywhere. Wormhole space, nullsec. Not as much lowsec. That's one of the few places I think I'm not really big in, but just by virtue of the way I play the game. Lately, I've been in Poshvin a lot, which is a wonderful place, as our next candidate up for the interview will also tell us. I fully agree with him. It's got some room for growth as well, and I have to say, if there's one more little thing I think I'd bring value to on the CSM, it would be feedback and understanding of how things would affect the region of Poshvin and all that new stuff that's sort of obviously been laid out to perhaps come into being in the future. So yeah, in short, in very long form, I think that's what I'm good for there.
Awesome. That sounds great, Uriel. I think everybody within the community knows your very strong connection with the lore and the community and everything that you do to exactly highlight and kind of bring more attention to the Eve Online story and the living world that we all are kind of flying on. daily basis. Could you tell me a little bit more that once you would get elected for the CSM, how do you plan to be interacting with the EVE Online community? How do you plan to be talking to the voters and just, making yourself available for, all the different ideas and the needs, suggestions, and from time to time complaints that you would very likely receive from.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of being on the CSM is, pretty much the main thing is being a kind of feedback node for stuff, to and from CCP and the players. In terms of just being around to communicate and actively going after things to try to talk about. I mean, I'm always available on, I'm logged into the game pretty often. I just got myself logged back into the Eve Portal app so I can see my mails out of game. So if anyone ever needs to send me a mail, send it in game. You can all, I'm also on Twitter. I'm pretty active there, always keeping an eye on all the tweet fleet stuff. And I'm on a whole bunch of different Discords related to Eve things. In particular, I'm again in regards to my area that I'm kind of running for the story side of things. The roleplay is primary Discord is a wonderful place with tons of people, and we're all talking all the time about things. A lot of complaining, a lot of discussion, a lot of It's pretty much just an open area for everyone to say whatever they feel about things. And just getting the opinions on everything is really easy to do when you have a huge amount of the people who are interested in it in this game all congregating in a couple of places. So that's really useful for that. And if you'd allow me, I can actually link an invite to that Discord, unless I can just send it to you and you can put it somewhere afterward.
Yeah,
But
if you
yeah, that.
definitely drop it on Discord, and CCP
All right.
Swift will share it with our Twitch chat right away.
All right, I'll send it to that Discord. Gotcha. All right, yeah, that's pretty much that for that, though. I'm available for any of this. I'm always happy to listen to complaints and interests and advice and point people to where resources are that they can find more stuff that they're interested in. A large part of things in the fiction community seems to be a lot of pointing people toward what they're looking for, which I think is part of the issue, and that's a lot of what I'd like to solve as well in terms of suggestions and maybe championing certain changes to how things are. Of course, the CSM doesn't actually have the power to directly change anything, as everyone in the chat should hopefully be aware. It's all advising, it's the feedback council. It's what do you want to call it? A focus group, from all over the game. So that's where its value really lies. And anyone who's saying I'm going to make this thing change, maybe be a little wary of them saying that outright, because it's all about making the developers see the direction you think things should be in, and the value in changing things in that way. And that doesn't always happen. So, but if things are good, they're good, and the more people who say it, the better. So talk as much as you can, make noise, have fun.
That's right. Well, Uriel, thank you very much. Our time is up, but it was great to have you here. Can you tell me if are you planning to appear on any shows? Are people gonna be able to listen to you more during the CSM elections?
Yeah, I am trying to get more of that happening. Sort of just trying to get the ball rolling a bit. I should be appearing on one of Ashtarothi's Eve Universe streams soon for probably a bit longer of a discussion as well, which is great. I'm sure that'll start with just CSM stuff and then also kind of morph into some discussion of the story stuff in general. So if you're interested in that or either of those things, I'll be throwing out links to that, and Ash will also absolutely help promote everything for that. The Lasers and Lace show as well, trying to be able to be more present on. Again, I've been a little busy lately, but trying to get more visible on there. I may go on there on Thursday. If not then I'll obviously be saying when it's going to be anyhow. Places like that, yeah, I'm going to try to be pretty present about things, responsive, active on Twitter, just talking about things, putting more things in the forums, writing stuff, being visible and making sure people know that this is the sort of stuff that I'm going after, and making sure people understand what I'm going for, and hopefully getting more votes, which helps a lot. So, and even if I don't end up getting elected, anything like that, just furthering discussion about this part of the game, I think is my goal. So I think in that I've already succeeded in some places, so I feel good about it. And I hope I can continue to do that. So thanks to everyone who's interested.
Thank you very much, Uriel. That sounds really great, and we're definitely looking forward to see how your campaign is gonna be developing, and definitely good luck
Thank you
in
very much.
getting as many votes as you possibly can. Guys, you've heard it. You know where to find Uriel. You know how to reach him. And now it's 7:30 UTC. We have one more candidate waiting to talk to you, Xeromus Plague. Let's jump right into it. We're gonna do a quick transition, bring him in, and then let him do the talking. Don't go anywhere.
Go fleet. Do space things. Be spacier. Overheat space stuff. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. My name is Xeromus Plague, and I'm a candidate for CSM. As you can see, I'm currently playing EVE Online, which is the game that I'm running to be a representative of. Yeah.
Zero's the best. Bum 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 bum. Vote for me. Bum 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 bum. This song doesn't have copyright, so I can use it in my video. Bum 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 bum. Vote for me. I'm Xeromus Plague.
Do you enjoy exploding in space? Me too. So much, I decided to run for CSM as a Triglavian. I represent the independent small gangs of Pokven and RP nerds elsewhere. Sometimes I make memes. You might have seen me on Ashtarothi, or maybe you've never heard of me. Either way, I'm endorsed by literal time travelers like Vermin Supreme. Here's some grainy B-roll footage of me thinking about spaceships. Look at me, just thinking about spaceships. I know you probably have a candidate or two that you already plan to support, but I hope you'll consider giving one of your votes to Xeromus Plague. I love this game, and all the characters I meet in it. Well, most of them anyways. I'll do my best to represent the interests of the community and give helpful feedback to CCP that'll improve our quality of life in-game. Remember, your vote puts me one step closer to overthrowing the empires once and for all. In conclusion, I hope you'll consider voting for me, Xeromus Plague. I might not be the best candidate, but, I forgot what I was talking about.
Welcome back. Please join me in welcoming Xeromus Plague. Xeromus, how are you doing today?
It's a fantastic day. How are you?
Very good. I mean, I'm feeling much more better after watching this amazing video. Please just just so we know, how much of time did you dedicate to achieve this legendary level of the production value?
I spent literally tens of ISK hiring the top talent in the galaxy, and I made it by myself in like a couple hours.
Now, this is really good, man. I really loved it. I think chat as well have enjoyed it immensely. So that's a great start to your CSM candidate interview over here. You know the drill. I would say let's just jump right into it. Please, Xeromus, tell us a little bit more about yourself that maybe hasn't been included in the video. Share with the player community all the details and information about you that people would like to know. I'm starting the
Well,
timer right away.
well, certainly. Hello, all my space friends out there and people who don't necessarily know who I am. My name is Xeromus Plague. I'm a big lover of EVE Online, and I am running because I think I represent the exact type of player that EVE Online needs on the CSM right now. One of the biggest criticisms I get is that I don't have the PvP chops of some of these big null alliance leaders, and fully agreed. These guys are way more experienced in terms of the politics and the mechanics of those large wars. I've never touched that life, but I represent players who have come to the game in recent years. My 3-year birthday in EVE is coming up. I haven't been here as long as some of you, but in that short time, I have made the transition from being a risk-averse high-sec pilot, living out my days as a miner, making those pennies at a time, trying to just barely. Now I live in Pokven, or as the people in chat will correct me, Poshven? I don't know how you want me to say it, Freds. I've always said it Pokven, forgive me. But I live in one of the most dangerous and exciting spaces in the game right now. I'm literally on the cutting edge of what CCP has been producing, and for that reason, I think I'm well positioned to speak to the successes and failures of some of these new implementations, and how to keep that space healthy in the future. One of the great things about my life in EVE is I've always been a part of a small gang. I've always relied upon an intimate network of friends and partners, and I've never been, beholden to any large group. I've never had to give up my freedom to participate in some large alliance. And so, in that way, I might speak for players who don't necessarily feel that they have representation on CSM, people who can't, who feel that they don't have a voice through larger organizers. One thing is, I think that the story of the Triglavians in general represents one massive win in CCP's their driving of the narrative. A lot of people who are older, who have the predispositions of a bitter vet, will say to me, EVE is a game about player-driven conflict, and I don't like this Triglavian story. This was written up by CCP, and I'm like, you have to understand what that means to little players like myself. This was the first chance for a lot of us to be involved in something big. This was the first chance that my little corp got to be on the front lines of a major conflict and actually influence the face of EVE forever. We took Niarja. A bunch of little dudes were there, and we fought in this epic battle, and we changed the face of the EVE map forever. That was big. And it drew me from being, as I say, a risk-averse, high-sec sort of player into this very dangerous lifestyle where PvP is a part of my life now. I think that this is a great thing CCP did. And while, there were some hiccups in the rollouts of certain policies, I think that it represents a great potential for a change in the way we consider PvP and PvE in the game. So, yeah, I think that's my elevator room pitch. I'm speaking for the little guy, running for the people of Pokven and the small gangs elsewhere. And yeah, that's me.
I think that was very well said, very eloquently put. The small guy always needs representation, and you probably pronounce Pakvin the way it's supposed to be pronounced. I will say that whoever gets to live there gets to call it whatever they want.
Excellent.
So one of the important parts of being a CSM is interacting with the community, and relaying feedback that you get, and just general communication. How would you view this, or how would you solve this challenge?
Well, I consider myself a pretty available person. Even on those days when I'm very busy and I don't log into EVE, I spend a startling amount of time in Discord talking about EVE with people from all over, getting the newest dirt on what's going on in my space, learning about the influences that might come from the outside. So I have my finger on the pulse of a lot, but specifically, if elected to CSM, one thing I think I might do is start up a special Discord and invite my fellow CSM candidates who would wish to participate to be in there as well, and just make it a sounding board for people. If you ever want to reach me day or night, you could could post in there. You could at me. I know a lot of us are hesitant to at the CCPs. We're all in Discords with you guys. We're mindful of your time, right? We don't want to at one of you and take you away from work. But you can at me any time of the day or night. I'm not as important, and I'd be available to hear your complaints.
I think once joining the CSM, your level of importance would definitely increase there. But it's great to hear that you definitely plan to make yourself more available. But this is CSM16. We had 16 iterations of the CSM so far. As we've asked some of the previous candidates earlier today, I would be curious to hear if there is any past or current CSM member out there that you really respect and kind of aspire in terms of what they do and how do they conduct themselves and how do they assist and collaborate with the community.
That is tough. I don't have the full context of every CSM being a more recent member, but one of the fellows that I sincerely respect is Yintan. I believe he served on CSM 13, was it?
Yes.
And he's a wonderful content creator. I've learned a lot through watching his videos, and I feel like his mentality, his approach to CSM was exactly that which I would take. It's not that you're there to drive. I'm not there to beat my chest and demand CCP hear out my issues and my pain. I'm there to represent folk and kind of provide useful feedback that might help to keep things going in a good direction. So yeah, I like Yintan. He's a good guy.
Yeah, big shout out to Yintan. Hope you're doing good, buddy.
Yeah, one of the more prolific CSM members. He served on multiple CSMs and was a very prominent, as you mentioned, content creator during his CSM time too. So we got to abuse him from many different angles. So you mentioned that you're a smaller guy. In terms of Eve, you're relatively new in the scope of things, and you focus on an area of space that not many people have interacted with. Besides that, what areas of the game do you feel you're most passionate about? Where does your expertise lie?
Well, for a good time before the Triglavian Revolution, I found I was spending most of my effort on high tier PvE. I loved incursion running. I loved going out and trying to do L4s for Guristas and Blood Raiders and just digging out into, all the quests and the storyline content because I came from RPGs where that sort of mentality was encouraged. It wasn't until we messed up K-Space forever that now I have this lifestyle which incorporates not only my love for PvE but PvP as well. So as far as expertise, I don't know that I have any special expertise anywhere, but as far as things I'm good at, I used to lead a lot of mining fleets. I was really into PvE, and lately I've gotten into small gang roaming. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, right on, right on. We still got 3 more minutes there, but I honestly think you've really hit the nail on the head with a lot that we wanted to take out of you today. So, Xeromus, is there anything else in particular you would like to talk with the EVE community right now? Is there any message that you would like to share or any other kind of call to action in terms of why people should be putting you on top of their ballots when the voting takes place early June?
I would ask that if you represent a small organization or if you consider yourself an independent with no ties to large groups, that maybe you think about throwing me on your ballot. I know a lot of folks, they kind of have their main candidate. Everybody's got their guy. I have a few myself that I'm already keen to support. But if you didn't even know who I was before this, consider giving me one of your slots, man. I think that I speak for a underserved community in Eve and one that doesn't necessarily get representation on the CSM. So uh, I'm well positioned to represent those without a voice, and I would be thankful for your support. And since we've got 1 minute and 45 seconds left, if somebody wants to ask a question really quick in the chat, I'd be happy to respond to that.
Yeah, Twitch chat. You got anything on mind? You wanna run by Xeromus?
Hit me with anything, friends. I don't afraid of anything.
Left tweaks or right tweaks? As the first
I
one.
lean left. I lean left myself.
All right. That's gonna win you definitely several votes right away.
What do you think about the Jita to Amar route? I'm a little bummed, I'll be honest with you. It seems to me, and no disrespect to my CCP friends here, it seems to me that this event somewhat undoes one of the major victories of the invasion, which was screwing up the trade route between Jita and Amar. I recognize that routing it through low-sec does provide new challenges, but I know that there are those in my community who will feel that this is a kind of a rolling back of the trouble that we caused in high-sec.
I will say,
Pineapple
you
on
guys,
pizza.
you did cause a lot of trouble with Niarja being gone. So you can always remember that legacy will remain forever.
I'm thankful for all the frustration I've inspired in the shippers and movers. Pineapple on pizza? Absolutely not. That is a war crime. I respect your right to be wrong about stuff, but ew, why would you put fruit on pizza? That's terrible.
I think now we just need to end it. This is outrageous.
Ah, why should the community vote for you when you've only seen a tiny aspect of what the game can give? Because I have approached Eve as a newborn. I've come to decipher all these years of stuff that was put here before I ever got to experience it. So I speak for people who don't have the context of many, many years of probing this content and knowing it. That's why I think I'm running for CSM, is because, you know, it's not just experience that makes a good player or a good representative.
All right, I think that's a strong finish, and let's call it there. Our time is up, but Xeromus, thanks a lot, buddy, for coming up and chatting to us and chatting to everybody in Twitch chat. I think it was wonderful, and we definitely want to see more of you and see how your campaign is going to be developing for another several years. We're still a little bit away from the voting itself that will be taking place between 8th and 15th of June, so a lot more opportunities to really garner more support from the community. Can we expect from you showing up on any of the other shows, Ashteroshi's Talking Station, anything out there? Do you have anything lined up for yourself already?
Yes, I was actually on Ashtarothi. We had a wonderful interview together. He's also very knowledgeable about Pakvin, so it's always fun to talk with him. And I'm going to be on May 30th on the CSM Royale, so you can look out for me there. And if you want to interview with me, I'm pretty accessible.
Awesome.
The CSM Royale channel is hosted by DTM315 on Twitch, and I believe he also puts it out on YouTube. It is a fantastic format for CSM debates, very inventive, so you should make sure to check it out if you're interested in any CSMs.
All right.
Well, thanks for speaking with me, guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, pleasure is all ours. Thanks very much for coming up. And there you have it, guys. We get to the end of our show for today. 5 great candidates, 5 very knowledgeable and versatile candidates awaiting your votes. Obviously, this is only the drop in the ocean. We're not gonna have any interviews tomorrow, but don't fret. Thursday and Friday is going to be packed. On Thursday, we're gonna have it a little bit later during the day to accommodate, the night owls from the U.S. time zone. But on Friday, we're back with more candidates who are eager to talk to you. Keep an eye on our Facebook, keep an eye on our Twitter. We're gonna be sharing the exact times there when we're ready to announce it. And obviously, if you haven't done it, just follow CCP Twitch channel so you can get the notification whenever we go live. Guys, it has been a pleasure to talk to you today, and I'm really looking forward to sitting down with more candidates later this week. Fly safe out there. Thank you very much, CCP Swift, for helping out and co-hosting this with me, and all of the candidates as well who take the time out of their days to chat about spaceships, because it's not like that's the only thing they do in their lives. All right. I'll be catching you later, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much, Twitch. Thank you very much, Facebook, guys. Speak to you soon, and I'll see you on Thursday.